In August 2021, someone stole $611 million in a single afternoon. No guns, no masks, no explosives, just a keyboard, a cup of coffee, and what you might call the most expensive mathematical loophole in human history. And here's the thing that makes this story truly unforgettable. The thief gave it all back, not because they were caught, not because they panicked, but because, in their own words, they did it for fun. This is the story of the Poly network hack, and if you've ever wondered how close the entire cryptocurrency system came to collapsing because of 4 tiny bytes of code, you're about to find out. Poly network wasn't some shady corner of the internet. It was a bridge. Imagine you're standing on one island holding Bitcoin, but you need Ethereum on another island. You can't just swim across with your Bitcoin in your pocket because these blockchains don't speak the same language. That's where Poly network came in. It was the translator, the ferry, the bridge that let you move value across chains. Billions of dollars crossed this bridge every week, and like any bridge, it had guards. The guard's name was the ETH Cross Chain Manager. Think of it as a vault door with a very specific rule. Only certain people with certain keys could tell it what to do. It was designed to recognize commands from a trusted source called the manager contract. If the manager said move funds, the guard would move funds. If anyone else said it, the door stayed locked. Simple, secure, or so they thought, because on August 10th, someone figured out how to whisper the exact right word to make that vault door swing wide open, and they didn't even need the key. Here's where it gets technical, but stay with me, because this is where the heist turns into poetry. In the world of smart contracts, when one program talks to another, it doesn't use full sentences. It uses shortcuts. Specifically, it uses something called a method ID, which is just the first 4 bytes of a function's name after it's been hashed. Think of it like a nickname. Instead of saying, "Hey, ETH Cross-Chain Manager, please execute the cross-chain transaction," the system just says 0x1234ABCD, and the contract knows what you mean. Now, 4 bytes doesn't sound like much, but in theory, it should be unique enough. The chances of 2 different commands having the same 4-byte signature are astronomically low, except they're not impossible. And someone realized that if you could brute force a meaningless function name until its hashed signature produced the exact same 4 bytes as a privileged command, the contract wouldn't know the difference. It would think you were the manager giving orders, when really, you were just some random person on the internet who learned to speak with the right accent. It's like if a bank vault opened whenever someone said the password "open," and you discovered that if you coughed at exactly 432 hertz, the voice recognition system heard it as "open." You didn't break in. You didn't crack the code. You just spoke the language better than the people who built it. The hacker found that cough. They found a way to manufacture a perfect method ID collision with the manager's most privileged operation. And suddenly, the vault didn't just unlock, it handed them the deed. They changed the ownership of the contract. They reassigned the keys. And within hours, $611 million in Ethereum, Bitcoin, and stablecoins started flowing out of Poly Network's wallets and into theirs. The crypto world went into free fall. Twitter exploded. Developers scrambled. This wasn't just a hack. This was a fundamental flaw in how some of the most valuable infrastructure on Earth was designed. If this could happen to Poly Network, it could happen to anyone. And then something strange happened. The hacker started talking, but not through email, not through a press release. They embedded messages directly into the blockchain by writing text into the transaction data of their transfers. One message said, "It would have been $1 billion if I had moved the remaining coins." Another said, "I'm not very interested in money." And then the most chilling one, "I did it to teach the world a lesson." The Poly Network team responded the only way they could. They wrote back, in public, on the blockchain. They called the hacker Mr. White Hat and begged for the funds to be returned. They explained that real people's money was at stake. They even set up a multi-signature wallet and asked the hacker to send the funds there as a gesture of good faith. And here's the twist you didn't see coming. The hacker complied. Over the next few days, slowly, methodically, they returned almost all of the money, transaction by transaction, wallet by wallet. And when it was done, Poly Network didn't press charges. They didn't call the FBI. Instead, they offered the hacker a job, chief security advisor, $500,000 bounty, an invitation to help build the very system they had just dismantled. Some people called it a publicity stunt. Others called it the greatest white hat hack in history. But whether the hacker was a hero, a thief with a conscience, or just someone with too much skill and too much free time, one thing became painfully clear. The entire decentralized finance ecosystem had been held together by assumptions that were 4 bytes away from catastrophe. The lesson here isn't just about code, it's about trust. We build these systems, these bridges, these vaults, and we tell ourselves they're secure because the math checks out. But math doesn't account for creativity. It doesn't account for someone who looks at your 4-byte shortcut and realizes it's not a lock, it's a suggestion. And suggestions can be ignored. So the next time someone tells you that blockchain is unhackable, that smart contracts are foolproof, that decentralization means security, remember the hacker who stole $600 million with what amounted to a typo. Remember that the most dangerous vulnerabilities aren't the ones written in red. They're the ones we never thought to look for, the ones hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone clever enough to say the word that sounds just close enough to open that the door swings wide anyway. And maybe, just maybe, remember to say thank you to the person who could have walked away with your money but chose to teach you a lesson instead, because the next one might not be so kind.